it's here from Pop Turn to speak to Kelcey Mawema about Totally Killer, which is streaming now on Prime Video. Welcome to the show. It's so good to see you.
Thank you for having me. I'm very happy and excited to be here.
I mean, it's so crazy because, genre bending's always been around, and I feel like people kind of strive to do it now. And this movie, Totally Killer, was like one of my favorite movies of the year because it literally down the middle. It was a slasher. It had the amazing horror kind of moments, but it was so funny. What was that like, kind of seeing that that blend in the script specifically?
When I was reading the script, I was like, okay, a horror, like you either get like just like very drama and like, a bit more like high stakes, or it's just like they try to do comedy and it just kind of gets a little blend that doesn't quite work. But then I was like laughing. I was like shocked. I genuinely, it was like a nice roller coaster ride. Like reading that script, I was like, okay, this is going to be epic.
Like it's a slasher and like the horror movie fans will love it, but it's so funny, Kelcey.
No, because I just knew though, because the director Natch, she's done so many cool things and she's done a lot of funny stuff. I mean, she's iconic for that. And also I'm a little biased, but because she's female and queer, just I don't know, they just get it. And
100%. No, absolutely. And it's interesting because how much do you know when you audition for Totally Killer? Do you know it's a horror comedy? Do you know it's a slasher? Do you know it's Blumhouse? How much do you know? Because I feel like depending on the project, sometimes you know a lot, sometimes you know nothing.
Honestly, I don't even remember all of I knew it was Amazon for sure. I knew the name. The name was Totally Killer when I auditioned for it. And I knew everything. I got the script.
Okay.
So I was able to read it, and then, I auditioned for quite a few characters.
Yes.
And I don't think I had the script right away. It was just, they were kind of keeping it a little hush hush. So it was breakdown, and I auditioned for a few of them. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, we like you for this character, Amelia. And then I sent in a tape and I was like, oh, I don't know. And I kind of was able to pick up the vibe through all of the auditions that I did. Mm-hmm. So I knew that it was something that I really, really wanted. So yeah.
And honestly, Kelcey, this is a credit to you because you did an amazing job of it. And watching this from an audience member, it's not easy because your character, because the movie involves time travel.
Yes.
And your character is the one that figures out that time traveling is happening.
Yeah.
And that she is time traveling. And I feel like that is such a unique kind of situation for an actor and storyteller because you're revealing what is happening when everyone else has no idea what's happening. So it's almost like your character has the power in a lot of ways, right? What was that like? Because that was a really cool, did you feel like this was a unique character compared to others? Do you know what I mean by that?
Yes, I totally know what you mean because in my past things that I've done, when I play high school kids or in that world, it's just always girls just kind of being catty or being funny or that just a very different vibe, where this was someone, and she's black girl in STEM, she's doing crazy stuff. Her mom's a genius. And we're saying to my agent, I was like, oh my God, I hope I'm not going to be typecast to just be in these films where I'm playing the catty bratty, a little bit type of character. And she was like, oh, Kelcey, you're not gonna be typecast. This came, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. The stakes felt, I felt a little bit of pressure because I was I don't know if I even know how to play a nerd. I don't know if I know how to be this super genius person. But then I thought about it and I was like, well, there's no criteria for a nerd. There's no criteria for someone that's smart. You just are. And that's with Amelia. I think I really appreciate the fact that they didn't put anything super specific in the breakdown of what she had to be. They just said she's a genius. She's helping her friend get back to the past and you're in the future. And then it's just it's Back to the Future, of course. But then I was like, whoa, kind of.
And the fact that the movie also refers to Back to the Future, I think is one of the best things ever.
Yeah, it was really good. All the nostalgia was coming through, and
the music in this movie is so good.
Yes,
it's so good.
I'm glad that because when we were watching it, I was watching with some of my girlfriends. I did a little viewing party, and they were all and I was like, yeah.
One of my favorite scenes ever of a movie is in Totally Killer, the cabin scene when they that song too, Shannon Let the Music Play. That is a bop.
No,
And
they killed that.
that's like one of the greatest scenes ever in like a slasher. Like I
It
love
was
that scene
really
so much.
well done. And I was like, oh, I want to see how they did it. And when I watched it with like everyone for the first time, it was cool. Cause cabin slasher, like it's very like we know it always happens, but it was done really well.
The prop, like the time machine, like what was that specifically? Because it almost looked like an old arcade. Like, what can you tell me about that? It looked like
Okay,
an
so
arcade machine.
yeah, it was crazy. So I like come to set. I'm like, I wonder what they would do. Like set deck, they're crazy. Like they whip out things out of thin air. Yeah. It feels like, and it was a photo booth, and then they opened like the opening where you take the photo, like that mirror glass part that was like clear. They took off like I don't know what it is. Like, when you go in a photo booth, like you just see like a little like screen or something.
Yeah.
So they just made that like a glass so then you can see and they can shoot it. And then they put like, it was like, LED lights that you put in your room that was like so popular, and like, it's still popular, but the LED strips, they did a lot of that. They did some like took like actual computer pieces. They were taking wires and like there was a lot of things. That was the first machine was the photo booth. And then the second machine was like an arcade like game. It was like a driver game. And I forgot the name of it. I took a photo of it, but it was a game from, I think it was from the 80s. I think that's
so
what they said.
Cool. I love that. And
it was really cool. It was very detailed, and they really like did their job with it. It was so cool. And I was like, whoa, this is a nice role. Like I really enjoying set tech for this.
We talked about the fact that it is a comedy, but at the end of the day, it's also a horror movie. Like I see it as a horror movie because it's a slasher movie. You know what I mean? And some of those kill scenes are very intense and like, it's like a horror movie.
Yes.
The horror movies have always been around, Kelcey, but there's obviously been a big surge with the popularity of horror movies. You know what I mean? So with that being said, from a storyteller acting perspective, what is it like working in the horror movie genre at a time where there really is a big appetite for that content?
I guess for this one, it really was seamless. Like, because my character, like the parts where things happen, like it's very brief.
Yes.
I get the extent of like the other characters where you're like, whoa, okay, yeah, this is definitely a slasher. So for this, it felt really like I got more of the comedy and more of the like just the other side of it. But for the other like horror films that I've done, it is draining. It is really tiring because a lot of it's like night shoots. All horror movies happen at night. So you're doing night shoots and you're stressed out. And some of that does come into the character, I think. And but I feel like when we do horror films, a lot of the times, at least from my experience, the sets, the people, the crew, the cast are all really into it, and we all like really are enjoying it and excited for what's going to come 100%. Out of it. The whole team is like,
because you worked on like the friendship game, like that was also like a horror movie too. Yeah.
And that one was crazy. We went like to boonies of Kamloops, and we were just like a family because it was very indie, right? It was like
100%
low budget, like indie horror, and we all like put our love into that, and it was like a bonding experience. And I think that's one thing that horrors and movies will do is they'll bring people together.
Payne Liz, Brendan Meyer, great people.
Phenomenal.
All right. Honor Society on Paramount Plus. We haven't had a chance. That movie came out a while ago, but like we haven't had a chance to chat about it. But I kind of told you briefly, I just love that movie. And I think that movie redefined the rom-com and is so good and is so well written. I just loved that movie. And I just want to know, like, what was it like kind of working on a movie like that? What was it like reading David's script? Like, I mean, do you know what I mean by like it really takes turns and is not your traditional like romantic comedy at all?
No. Reading the script was a shock. I like literally, like my mouth fell to the ground. Like I think, and a lot of people after reading and seeing people's like reviews of it, they're like, whoa, didn't expect that one. I was like, neither did me. Like I read that and I was like, oh wow, like this is actually good because it's I don't know, like you start off thinking maybe it'll be kind of similar to what's out, but no, it took its very own film. It made Honor likable, but then hateable, but then redeemable, and then her friends. And I think everyone kind of had a redeem, like was able to redeem themselves in that film. And it wasn't just like very like cliche, like little side characters and then they have nothing that happens with them or anything with the leads or any growth. Like there was growth in that, and it was also just very like femme and very theater. Like, hello, shout out to the theater people. That was so cool to see.
But the theater component like was incredible. The breaking the fourth wall, like Angari like crushed it. The turns of it being like a rom-com to like not like super, I don't want to give it away, but like it gets like very like whoa.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't get like scary or like
brush, you know, you're like, what?
It gets like very like dramatic at times and really makes you like, this movie takes you on a roller coaster. Like it really does. And everyone, you crushed it, Avery crushed it, like you all did such a good job. I've been telling people, like, I need to see this movie. I need people to see this movie more. Yes, they have to see it.
It's such a good film. It has like a very, very special place in my heart. The whole I think the bonding that I also did with Avery, like we're really close now, and just being Talia and Emma, we were like this.
100%. Because like I was telling our mutual friend Sydney, like, this is like one of the greatest movies. Like I love this rom-com. You know what I mean?
Good. It was such a good, like it was one of those that you just filmed it and you just knew. You're like, yeah, this is gonna be really good. And it didn't disappoint. It was unfortunate. I feel like the timing and everything wasn't the greatest. I don't know. It was just, it feels a bit underrated. Like,
it is very underrated. And I got you in the cast and crew. I have plans. I don't know. Like you know what? It's really funny because there is so much content out there. And it's one of those things where like, we watch a lot of content, and when you watch a lot of content, your mind is looking for certain things, right? Your mind is looking for things that maybe you haven't seen before and everything. And I just remember watching that movie and being like, this is like really, really like different for like a romantic comedy. Like this one really did things that like I've now not seen before in the genre. You know what I mean? And like Totally Killer in a lot of ways, segueing back, is like one of those, like, for a movie to be so funny and then to be so serious with like all the kills and the slasher, it's impressive. I think it's credit to the writing, right?
No, 100%, 100%. David killed in like I think it was he had said something about how like some of the characters were based off of his daughter and like her experiences in high school. And you think like an older man, like, yes, he has a daughter, but he's older, and like you're talking about like a Gen Z kind of story. And he did a really good job of writing that and putting those elements into the film. And like also Iran, the director, was very collaborative, and like she was cool with us kind of doing our own thing and still adding the elements that we think like, okay, this makes sense for young people. Like this is what we would do. This is what they would do.
100%. The Kelcey Mawema double feature. Audition Society on Paramount Plus, Totally Killer on Prime Video. Do it.
Do it.
Those are two incredible films, and you are great in both of them. So congratulations. Kelcey, so great chatting with you. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I made my day. Good way to start it off.
Absolutely.
In the middle somewhere, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Totally Killer on Prime Video. They can stream it. Honor Society on Paramount Plus. They can stream it.
Please do.
And Instagram is just your name, right? If people want to keep updated with everything.
Yes. Yeah. Kelcey Mawema. Kelcey with a C, not an S. Get it correct.
Yeah.
And that's everything.
Awesome. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Kelcey and Pity Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.